Hello, oil enthusiasts. Hold on to your diffuser because it's about to get wild and fragrant in here. Today's episode is part 10 of our 11-part mini-series geared towards helping you understand different processes necessary to do emotional work. We all require inner work, so why not learn a proven method that can give you the skills needed for personal healing? If you're interested in learning this method on how to heal yourself mentally and emotionally, this mini series will be a great tool for you. This episode highlights the action of personalized modalities. Don't forget to stick around to the end for the scoop of the day. Welcome to the Essential Oil Scoop, where we're all about sass, class, and a whole lot of plant-based fun. I'm your host, Vicki Labrilia, and I'm joined by my amazing co-host, Sarah Sipos. Together, we're going to be your guides to the world of essential oils. And trust us, there's no better team for the job. With my passion for natural wellness and Sarah's encyclopedia-like knowledge of essential oils and our sparkling wit and charm, we'll be diving into the world of essential oils, giving you all the tips, tricks, and the juicy scoop that you need to make the most of those potent plant extracts. Don't forget to share, like, save, subscribe, and follow our podcast so you get notified every time we upload a new episode. So grab your favorite oils and your favorite drink, put on your listening ears, and let's get ready to have some fun with essential oils. Hi, Sarah. What's up?
Hey, Vicky, how are you today?
You know what? It is a really good day. We've been chatting for a while. We finally pressed record. So we are all gung ho for this episode.
We are, and I have to tell you, we had great laughs ahead of time. So we're all like super relaxed and ready to roll because some of the stuff that we're going to talk about today could get kind of deep and emotional for people.
Yeah, that's true. This is a hard conversation to have, a much needed one, but hopefully this episode, this podcast gives you ideas on different modalities that you can turn to for your portion of processing all of your emotions. So Sarah, I want you to take the floor and just share some of your wisdom with us.
Oh, so today we're talking about personalized modalities, and there's so much. I mean, we're chatting, Vicky and I, about, all the different personalized modalities there are out there. There are so many different types of things. I mean, you've got regular psychotherapy, talk therapy, and then you've got like branches off into other parts of other things like massage therapy is actually really good for helping you to have a somatic release of emotion at sometimes.
Mhm.
There are emotion code. That's one of my personal favorites. It's something that I'm certified in. We are both essential emotions coaches, which is another modality, which is a little bit different than emotion code. Um, Even like rocks and crystals and exercise, there's so many different types out there, like so many. I think the
Yeah.
important part when it comes to personalized modalities as finding what works for you, whether it be music therapy, play therapy, even. Play therapy is really big, especially for small children that have gone through some trauma.
Yep.
Um, there's so many out there. I think what it comes down to, first of all, is finding a good therapist and a good fit for you. What is the modality versus finding a practitioner of that modality that you can work with, feel comfortable with, that gives you the best results for what you're trying to accomplish. And I think it's really important when we talk about that, that this is about you.
Yep.
Um, if your friend had a great experience with a practitioner, that's great. But you may have a different experience and that might not work for you. So I think it's really important that you try different types of modalities and keep your mind and your heart open to those because everybody has different things that they're specialize in. And, it's kind of like doctors of the world. You may love a certain doctor and then somebody may speak very highly of a doctor and you go to that doctor and you're like, no, thanks, right? Like there's so many things, but you have to find what's best and what's comfortable for you.
Sarah, I agree. Emotional healing techniques come in all forms, and the personalized modalities that we're going to dive into we're not going to take too much time diving into all of them to an extent to where you can make a best educated decision. This podcast is to help you understand some of the essential oils that would pair very well with the choice you make. Like Sarah said, just because I choose, music therapy or play therapy doesn't mean that that's going to be Sarah's jam. And it doesn't mean that that's going to be what Sarah finds finds that works best for her. So, yes, you have to do you, trust your gut, but do yourself a favor and take that next step in giving yourself the opportunity to have this process, to have therapy in the right place with the right person, and it will do wonders. So, Sarah, do you want to share one of the amazing oils that we would invite our listeners to use during this process?
Yeah, so I'm going to talk about cilantro first.
Okay.
Cilantro is a fantastic, like, I really like cilantro. I like the smell, I like the flavor, I like it in my salsa, and I like it in my guacamole. Like, I love cilantro,
It's
right?
so good. Oh my gosh, delicious.
You can use it everywhere. But let's talk about the emotional property of the cilantro oil. It's releasing control. And when I said that this could be a little bit heavy of some things that we're going to talk about, I think to some extent everybody struggles with releasing some type of control in their lives. We all want to control something. I know as a parent, I want to control and make sure my children are safe and happy and doing the things that they need to do to be successful. And sometimes I want to control all their choices, right? Because I want to make sure that they're doing the right things. But as a parent, you also learn you can't control everything. You can't control what they're doing.
Correct.
And um, so with cilantro, it talks about in the book, it talks about how those in need of cilantro may attempt to obsessively control other people or manage their environments. Like, I think this is really um, significant, and this happens a lot in our lives. Um, Really quick, I'm going to tell a quick story. I have one of my dearest, best friends was in the foster care system growing up. She had a really rough childhood and she was lucky enough to be put into a really great, stable foster home.
Okay.
And during that time when she was in that foster home, everything was like super neat and tidy and organized, and she was extremely organized. She was never messy, never sloppy. And it was all because, like, looking back now as adults, and her and I have had this conversation, it's because that was what she was trying to, that was the only environment she could control. The rest of her life was kind of a mess. Like, she was suffering from a lot of trauma. Just this girl endured a lot in her childhood, and the way she could endure it was to control the small things, controlling her environment, controlling how things looked, keeping everything nice and neat and organized, right? Because she couldn't organize or control any other parts of her life. And a lot of times when we are talking about people who have trauma in their childhoods, there is something in their lives that they are trying to micromanage and overly control because that is what they know they can control because their minds um, may be plagued with with some PTSD or some traumatic memories. And so they
Mhm.
want to try to control. And cilantro is amazing because it helps to facilitate emotional cleansing and it encourages releasing of worry and control and helps people to center into their true selves um without necessarily like going super deep into people's trauma. Like, this is a great oil that helps when you're feeling constricted and clinging to or obsessing over material obsessions. I know with this oil that people, when they're trying to control their environment, and when they're feeling constricted or clinging to or obsessing over material possessions, but this oil would be really good for that. I know for me personally, I grew up with parents that are hoarders. And so our house was always a disaster and we always had way too much stuff. And I know, like, for me, my mom would get really angry when we would touch stuff or move stuff around. She would just get so angry about touching her possessions. And so, this idea of obsessing over possessions was a real thing. And now, as an adult, looking back on the way I grew up, knowing what traumas I have from that environment, it just releasing that control is really important to me, and helping others to release their baggage has become a mission of mine. And so I know that using this cilantro oil to help us with some of that baggage and some of the things, even just bringing to light, to being able to see what we are trying to control in our lives is really important. Even if we're not ready to let go of some of those patterns right now, being aware of them is the first step of any process, is that awareness piece. And so cilantro is going to help us to have that awareness that we need for going through the trauma.
I agree.
So,
I agree. And um cilantro is beautiful, and I'm stumbling over my words truthfully because this is a very stressful topic for me when we bring up anything that has to do with childhood. I had a very traumatic childhood, and this isn't the podcast to discuss that with you yet, but I will. I'm an open book when it comes to that. But as far as, having a childhood that was traumatic, um, Sarah and I share a bond of living in a hoarder's paradise. I don't wish that upon anybody, but when Sarah was mentioning, if we moved anything, there would be repercussions of some kind. And I know for me, I had control, right, over what was in my room. I had control over the cleanliness, the neatness, the organization, and that's it, right? So cilantro comes in, and now as an adult, and as I've gone through different therapy practices myself, cilantro liberates the soul from heavy burdens, and it enables the individual to live light and live freer. So, my friends, this is a phenomenal oil to pair with whatever practice you choose into. And my friends, it's okay if you try something and it doesn't work for you. Then you go on to the next. Okay? I want you to know that. I want you to know that just because you try one modality, because you think that might be the one that you enjoy and get results from, and it doesn't work out to be that way, you're still moving in the right direction. It wasn't a waste of time. It wasn't a waste of energy. You're going to move on to something else that will hopefully better suit you and the needs that you need to have met in that moment. So yes, releasing control is a huge part of the process. Huge part. And this cilantro oil is phenomenal. So how can we use this? It's an aromatic, topical, and internal oil. Sarah, what are some ways that you would recommend our listeners use this oil?
um, topically, I'm always a big topical person. I'm always putting oils on my body. So I would say 1 to 3 drops over the solar plexus, which is like just below your sternum, just below your breastbone. It's right in the center, basically, is your center. And also putting that onto your throat. As you can tell, this is what happens with emotions. When we start to talk about things, they get caught in our throat because we
Yep.
don't want to sometimes verbalize them. So if you've noticed throughout this entire podcast, I've been like trying to like clear my throat,
Mm-hmm.
because these are emotions that kind of get stuck and not coming out, because honestly, hoarding was a dirty little secret, right? It is a dirty
Mm-hmm.
little secret. We don't talk about it. We don't invite
Mm-hmm.
people over. We don't verbalize how messy our houses are. We're not talking about the occasion. We're not talking about a messy home with children
We're
or
not
a
talking
messy.
clutter.
No, we are talking like piles and weaving your way through rooms because there's
Yep.
no place to walk or there's no place to sit down. Um,
Yep.
think of Hoarders the show. I mean, maybe my parents weren't quite to that level of the show, but
Close
they're
enough.
pretty high up. They're very close, very close.
Hmm.
So for me, as you can tell, that throat is really an important place to put oils, especially when we're talking about some of these traumas, because sometimes when I talk about them, obviously my throat, it gets caught there. Like, don't talk about it. Don't tell people. Don't say anything, because that was my family's dirty little secret, was hoarding.
Hmm.
So, um, I think it's really interesting that when we're talking about releasing control, that it's important to like put things on our throat to allow us to verbalize, allow us to release that control of holding on to what was considered secrets. I mean, there might be other things maybe in your family, maybe it wasn't hoarding, but you had other family secrets that you weren't allowed to verbalize or talk about because, you know, it would bring pain or bring, your parents' wrath, right? Like, there are certain things that you weren't allowed to say or talk about, and so I think it's really important
Yep.
that we acknowledge that throat space and that we need to discuss and verbalize some of those things and talk about it. This is one of the best things that Vicky and I, when we discovered we were both children of hoarders, it brought us a bond because we both know how that environment is, and we know what it's like and how volatile it can be moving parents' possessions, which
Hmm.
that was a very big thing. Um, not it was a big no-no. You just don't touch anything that's not technically yours. So
Correct. Correct.
it's
And I'm so grateful. Again, you guys, we are only human. We are just like you, but relying on the tools that Mother Nature gave us in this essential oil form has been a huge, huge shift in the right direction for our wellness. And that's part of this podcast, is for us to educate you on the tools that are there, that are ready for you when you are willing to accept the support. So we have another beautiful oil to share with you. And I say beautiful, and there's a smile on my face, and Sarah's the same. It is a precious oil, and it's called Ylang Ylang. Ylang, Ylang. And it's the essential oil of the inner child. You guys, I don't know about you, but I feel like the whole world needs a dose of ylang ylang, right? So ylang ylang is a powerful remedy for the heart. And, modern day society honors and reveres the mind over the heart. Yet the heart is, with its intuitive ways of receiving information, it is an essential part of your soul. So ylang ylang reconnects individuals with the inner child and the pure, simple ways of the heart. Okay. Cilantro came in and allowed space for it. But now you get the joy and the comfort that you too once had when you were a child, that when we grow up tends to fade away. When you are so stressed with doing life, okay, which I'm learning how to experience life rather than do life, because those are two separate things. When you are feeling disconnected and you need that extra invite to open up and be joyous, Ylang Ylang is going to come in and tell you, I got you. You do have what you need. You do have control and power over what your future holds and what you can voice and express in a safe environment, whichever modality you choose. Y'all, you have it. And Ylang is going to come in and be like, yes, you do. Sarah, you want to add some information? I mean, I could talk forever about it, but I want you to share some of your light with our
um
listeners.
I just love that it helps with emotional healing. And just like I said, like that where we
Mm-hmm.
talked about cilantro is allowing it to come out, right? This is going to help heal that heart space after you've been releasing those things, after you've been releasing some of that trauma, after you've been releasing, this is going to help with that heart space. That's where you're supposed to apply it. You're supposed to apply it over the heart. Do you see how like these
Yeah.
oils just work so well with our body of where we're supposed to place it? Placement is really important to me when we're using oils topically on the body, especially for emotional healing.
I
And this goes
agree.
over that heart and allows for that emotional healing to naturally flow and nurture us all through the whole process. And so the reason why Vicky was saying how much we're smiling is because we just like for us, we kind of hashed out our podcast ahead of time. And it's for us, it's a heavy subject. For us, it's a
Hmm.
really heavy subject to talk about. But I love that we have a lang. I love that we have our other beautiful oils that can support us when we are talking about these heavier topics. That is something that brings up some trauma and some residual feelings and emotions of, I mean, anger, sadness, sorrow, despair. Like there's a lot that unpacks when we're talking about trauma. And I love that a lang supports the inner child because a lot of our traumas come from our childhood. We maybe
Yeah.
had a great, I mean, my parents were amazing. Like I don't really have a lot of trauma except for the what we call the chaos of can't have anyone over syndrome. And
That's a good way of putting it.
so that is like, other than that, I had a really good family life and all the things and had good experiences and stuff. But there are certain traumas of hoarders that is still traumatic for me. I have a really hard time going into super messy environments. Bargain stores that tend to be really messy, I have a hard time going into. Like there are still things that bug me and I have a hard time with. And I even know that I have hoarding tendencies of not letting certain things go that have sentimental value. Or I have my mom's voice in my head going, don't throw that out. You might need that someday, right?
Oh my
So,
gosh, that's so true. And it's like, okay, intrusive thought, that's a lie. Let me retrain my brain.
or or how about the one of you can use that for something else?
Oh, my whole four-letter word. Yeah. I'm sorry. This is the fifth time we've used the Cool Whip container for leftovers. I think the Cool Whip container's dead. Uh-huh. Oh my gosh. Please put a comment below. Let us know we're not alone. Like I know we're
Yeah,
not alone, but
yeah.
share some of your stories. Let's keep this going.
Please, please. And we could do a whole podcast just on some of the phraseology that comes through our heads that we've heard when we are trying to throw something away. Or, I mean, I could tell you lots of stories about cleaning out my mom's house. An envelope that
Oh,
said it was pieces of string in the envelope and it said too small to do anything with. What in the ever living heck are you holding on to this envelope with too
oh.
small to do anything with?
Oh yeah, napkins, salt and pepper, yeah. Oh man. You know what? For our listeners currently that may not have control over their entire home environment, let me invite you to have lemongrass. I know we've kind of like switched gears, but real fast, mic drop with lemongrass. Diffuse it in your house because that oil puts a pep in the step and helps to declutter mentally and physically. Sarah and I will do another podcast if you want. Someone comment below if you want us to do a podcast about oils that you can use in your home specifically for hoarders. Let us know. And if we get a comment, we will do it.
Yeah, we will. Lemongrass was a hard one for me to like. Now I do like it, but at first it was a struggle. And that's another lesson in and of itself. If you ever struggle with an oil that you're like, I can't stand the smell of it, there's probably an emotion that you're not ready to deal with or some emotional trauma that you're not ready to deal with, and that's okay. Use a different
Yes,
oil if you're trying to use it for emotional
it's not the
purposes.
right time. Yep.
Yeah. If you're using
Yeah.
it for physical purposes, use it and just know it's medicinal, just keep
Mm-hmm.
going, using it for medicinal. If you absolutely can't stand the smell, put it on the bottoms of your feet. Like
Correct.
use these oils.
Correct. Yeah, it's great. So, my friends, Sarah and I invite you to choose a modality. What works for me may not work for you, but there is going to be some form out there that's available. Like we said, music therapy, play therapy, talk therapy. Y'all, Sarah and I love talk therapy. We became essential emotions coaches for a reason because we know that there's a way out of the darkness. Connect with one of us if that's the modality you want to try. We're happy to serve you in any way possible, but find it. grab that essential oil or oils to pair with your modality of choice and light that fire. Move in the right direction. You got this.
And I'm going to throw this out there. I didn't even talk to Vicky about this ahead of time, but it just came to me and I'm going to go with it. If you are like, hey, I'm super brave and I would love to do an essential emotions coaching session with Vicky and Sarah live, or not necessarily live, but recorded for a future podcast, please, 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 please let us know. We'll drop our email in the notes section. And if you're brave enough, we would love to have you on.
Oh my gosh, for free, what a huge gift. This would be fantastic. I am so glad you got that download from above because that would be a great blessing for one of our listeners, for sure. A duo session, a trio session. Oh, heck yeah. You guys are
So
awesome.
take us up on this offer. I promise you won't regret it. Thanks for tuning in to today's episode of the Essential Oil Scoop. We hope you have found this discussion informative and helpful. If you have any questions or topics that you would like us to cover in future episodes, please leave us a comment or reach out to us on social media. Don't forget to like, share, save, subscribe, and follow our podcast so that you get notified every time we upload a new episode. Until next time, stay healthy, keep using your essential oils to enhance your wellness journey, and we will talk to you really soon. Have a great day. Goodbye.
Be well, my friends. Bye.